Good evening, Des Moines, Iowa, and the world. Welcome to the Doc and Lefty program, broadcasted to you from the studios of webcast1live.com, simulcast on docandlefty.com. This is Lefty. As always, we're bringing you the perspectives you love from the sides you hate, and across the table from me, he's got Olympic fever, probably Zika. We don't know. Doc Petrosh. Doc, what's happening?
Hey, not much. I'm glad to be back in the studio. I always miss it when I leave. I miss you. I miss Maddie. What I like is making Blake look a little silly when he's trying to defend the indefensible over there. So I like being back in here. Yeah. Oh, thanks for turning off the halo effect.
You were here last week. I don't.
Oh yes, I was. I'm telling you, that flight back just about killed me. I'm telling you, it just about killed me. So. I don't even remember being here last week.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I believe that you were.
Well, I wish I could use an excuse like, well, I was drinking, but I was just old and worn out.
So, what have you been? We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but have you been watching the Olympics so far?
What? Yeah, I have. Have you been watching?
Not really. No, I've seen a couple of the big things, but not really.
All right. Well, the one controversy is. There's a swimmer, I think her name is Simone Manuel, and she won gold in whatever it was. I think it was a 200-meter medley or whatever. And she won gold, and everybody was excited and everything else. And the liberal media could not wait to point out all the racism she had to overcome to be in the Olympics. And I was sitting here thinking, well, hold on. Our number one gymnast gal, 2 Olympics in a row has been black. Mm-hmm. You know, some of our best, a couple of our best rugby players are black. There's a lot of black people on the team. Mm-hmm. And now I'm trying to be as politically correct as an old man can get. So if I've offended anybody, I'm sorry. And I started thinking, well, what did she have to overcome as far as racism? Because as far as I know, the Y has a pool just that welcomes everybody. And, because that's where Michael Phelps started. Down at the Y. I know because this is a roundabout story. My brother Joe, the Big Brothers Little Brothers program, he had a little brother. And this little brother started swimming with Michael Phelps. And together they came up through, junior high school, I think even into collegiate swimming. Together.
Didn't Michael Phelps go to Michigan?
What?
For college? He go? Was he on the Michigan swim team?
I don't know. But
I can't remember.
I know that Justin Clausen. So anyway, I was sitting here thinking about this, and I was reading about all the struggles she had to overcome. And I thought to myself, that is a beautiful story of overcoming adversity. The trick is, you don't hear anything about Simone Biles being, nearly aborted, being saved by her grandparents, and moving forward. But there's not a word about the racism with Simone Biles.
Well, was it racism, though? But here's the question. what does it matter? Because if you're saying, maybe Simone Biles didn't have the same exact experience that Simone Manuel did. We don't. I don't know. Not every African American person that is the victim of the same exact kind of racism. For example, I think that some of the issues surrounding African American athletes are different depending on what kind of sport they're in. As far as what the stereotypes are, or what the perception of those particular athletes are. We've had African Americans participating in baseball and football and basketball forever, and basketball is an Olympic sport. You don't hear anybody talking about racism in basketball because that's something, but that doesn't invalidate experiences of racism of other athletes, either in basketball or in swimming or whatever. So I wonder what the point is, because the Simone Biles story about being abandoned and adopted and all the rest of that has been widely reported in everything that she's ever done. That's something that's in her bio. So I guess I'm wondering what point you're trying to make.
My point is here we have, black folk, I don't know how to, God, I'm going to get myself in trouble, aren't I? I'm just going to admit I'm going to get in trouble. Here we have wonderful black athletes from all over the world competing. Mm-hmm. And if you look overseas in the European rags, if you look in Africa in the African rags, and if you look in Australia at the Australian rags, they're all proud of their athletes. Doesn't matter if they're black or they're white or in one particular case, like Ukraine. You want to talk about a backwards country? It's Ukraine, right? And there is their stud wrestler who's black, who was from Zimbabwe apparently and went to Ukraine. They're all celebrating. You don't hear a word about how they've overcome racism. But here in America, the very first thing they do, that's what they go to. That's their default. Oh, well, geez, this poor gal, look at all the racism she had to overcome. When they're interviewing her, she doesn't mention anything. She's going, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad
once again, what point are you trying to make?
I'm trying to point out that the liberal media that covers all this stuff is always waiting to bring race into the equation. And I would like to have one Olympics where I can just enjoy people being Americans for a change instead of, oh, look at all the racism they had to overcome. Listen.
But what if they did?
Well, great. I'm glad, but that shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be the gold medal. It should be, look at how hard she worked, not, geez, we're glad she overcame racism. Because for me, the bottom line is we should be celebrating Americans. We should be celebrating all of our stripes, and we shouldn't be bringing race into the Olympics every time we get an opportunity. That's my point. I know you don't agree. You think it's we're awful because we have a history of slavery,
it's not that I don't agree or disagree. It's I don't. If you're talking about if you're giving a bio about an athlete and you're presenting a picture of an athlete, it sounds to me like you don't want to be confronted with things that are difficult.
No, I don't.
And that's what it sounds like.
I was named the worst man in the world. If you don't think I can't handle a little controversy,
I'm not saying you can't, but because you're not a part of it. But this is why I'm wondering what this is all about, because it sounds to me like you'd rather just ignore difficult things in favor of watching somebody win a gold medal or wave the flag around or whatever. I mean, the fact that we're able to support and celebrate an athlete, writ large, is a big deal. The fact that we have a press that covers everything about an athlete, I don't know that. It sounds like I'm defending your criticism of the media, but I don't understand where your criticism is coming from, because it doesn't really. It doesn't in the grand scheme of things. They're still covering the athlete. They're still covering the win and the celebration and everything else. And if you're saying we shouldn't inject racism into it,
did you see any of the coverage with this Simone Manuel? Did you see any of it? That is all the Americans could focus on. I have a benefit that I can watch foreign TV. I can watch German TV, and I generally watch a lot of BBC. They're covering their athletes, and they don't immediately go to racism. And the problem is, and I think this is a service to Simone Manuel, they went straight to the racism, continued to focus on the racism. It made her uncomfortable during the one interview I saw where she finally said, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I won the gold medal. I worked hard for this. And that's my criticism. My criticism of the media is it's always immediately that way. Now we've come up against
it's not all immediately.
It is
no, it's not all that way.
Are you
faster and be strong. You keep in mind that they're the advice doctor you and I are never going to be. You know what? I got to be some truth. I got to be honest with you. You and I are never going to get that synchronized swimming routine down.
No, have
Doc,
you seen those girls?
We are never going to get there. We should just give it up. Japan in 2020 is not happening for us.
No, not for us.
No, and so. But for everybody,
synchronized screaming at each other, we can do that.
I don't know that we've ever been in sync on anything, but but for all these athletes, if they're all doing it, is that really cheating? What do you think about that? I mean, is there a virtue in
keep in mind,
in being clean if everyone's on the same page?
Well, keep in mind, sport is about competition and about how to manipulate the rules. I mean, that's part of the sport. That's of anything. Monopoly. How do you manipulate the rules so you win a Monopoly?
Oh, but don't talk board games. I don't allow any manipulation of rules in board games. I'm a strict constructionist when it comes to board game rules.
And therein lies the problem. That is essentially what happens in sport and Olympics. You have
Good point.
One side that you said, I'm going to be a stickler for the rules, and these are the rules. And you have another side going, well, hold on. How we want to be able to heal quicker, the $6 million man thing.
Yep.
So, we're up against another break. Let's talk about more Russian controversy. The Irish boxer and the Ukrainian wrestler. We'll talk about that right after we get back. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Without you, we couldn't do what we do.